right, we are back here on the podcast, and not think we'd be having this conversation here as the Knicks pull off an upset. They stunned the Boston Celtics in 6 games. They are out to the Eastern Conference Finals the first time in 25 years. And as we promised Tom Bocchino of the Sorry to Interrupt podcast, we came back because the Knicks won.
I have never been happier to be wrong, Mike. What is going on, my friend? I think I had the Celtics, and I might have said sweep, might have said five. After those first two games, we were chatting. I didn't want to jinx it. Tatum went down. That was unfortunate. Obviously, a class act and a great player, but nonetheless, the Knicks, they didn't really dominate the series in the sense of holding a lead or having a lead for that many minutes, but they own the fourth quarter, and we own the Celtics right now.
Yes, we do. And be a call from me and Tom here. We both were very wrong on the Knicks here. We said,
So was everybody else, though. Come on.
ESPN went over 11 with their analyst predictions here. Like we like on the podcast said like gentleman sweep at best, possibly us sweep. And I know we took a little heat on the social media streets of our some of our thoughts on Tom Thibodeau and Mikal Bridges, but you know what? They shut us up.
Absolutely, they did. And for all those people, they don't know what they're talking about. Shut up. Go look at Tom Thibodeau's history. And if you want to have a debate, I'll come on any show. But aside from that, Tom Thibodeau for this series, I was wrong. Mikal Bridges, please accept my apology. My God. I mean, in the Pistons series, he was inconsistent, but in the Celtics series, he was exactly who we need him to be in basically every single game except game five. But I mean, we're not even gonna speak of that game. We're just gonna throw it out the window, throw the tape out, and pretend like it never happened.
Yeah, for sure. And this series, I mean, was wild. I mean, going into game five, I think the Knicks were in minus 35 in the scoring differential for the series. Are up 3-1 because those two blown leads in game one and game two. And like, you didn't really realize it then. I know, like, I had a friend who's a Celtics fan. He texted said, "You guys won the series with that." And I think it's very, and the Celtics said it too, said that kind of broke us blowing those two games back to back. And it's crazy how that whole series flipped on those two blown leads.
Exactly. Exactly the words that came to my mind was just a broken spirit to the point where it's like they're doing everything right. But it was like Jekyll and Hyde with the Celtics. They just turned into a jump shot hero ball basketball team in the fourth quarter. And I couldn't the first game, okay, cool, whatever. We didn't think I didn't think they were gonna do it again. And it was deja vu all over again in game two. It was incredible.
It was here, and it's crazy because like obviously like they have the big win in game three, the Celtics. Game four, the Knicks were dominating second half where Tatum gets hurt. You got the little dead cat bounce in game five with Luke Cornett game was going to be known basically from here until the end of time. But game six, you
It's
saw
fine. He got bitched in game six. They went right at his chest from the tip.
yeah, it was over like basically immediately in game six.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish I bet on it. I was obviously, as you know, out of the country, so I was watching the games at 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't. That game five just felt like the most obvious thing to happen ever. The Knicks are on such a high, and the Celtics are just fighting. They got the heart of a champion, and their best player by far just suffered a truly devastating injury. But then the Knicks came right back out. I got to give kudos to literally every single player in this rotation, man. Mitchell Robinson getting better with his free throws. The hack and Mitch went away because of him making his free throws, playing perimeter defense like he's fucking Gary Payton, the glove out there, and getting like Deuce McBride getting chased down blocks, banging big threes, and then obviously the starting five all took care of business. And I got a couple concerns, but we'll talk about that in the preview. Right now, it's just a time to celebrate. New York has not been between obviously I was just telling you before we got on the pod, like as a St. John's fan, as a Knicks fan, and then the Yankees going to the World Series this year outside of the Jets, like as an adult, I just don't know how to feel as a fan because I don't know what success feels like. With the Mets being what they are this year, the Yankees, St. John's, and the Knicks, it's like the city's jumping, man. Like there is just a really good energy. I saw a car accident today in the city. It would have ended up in a fist fight usually, but I mean everybody was just cool with it. The Knicks won. Who gives a shit if your car's totaled?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. I mean, I'm looking at this situation here. I mean, like you got all sorts of crazies going out the Knicks. I mean, like you brought up Mitchell Robinson here, and like for a guy who like he was the difference in that series, in my
Oh
opinion,
yeah.
because like it got to the
Oh
point
yeah.
where like Joe Mazzulla was like, we were doing it on purpose. We knew we had to get him off the floor because like the Knicks like I saw a stat from Fred Cassidy, like they were gobbling up 39% of the rebounds, offensive rebounds when Mitchell Robinson was on the floor, which is absurd. And like,
Yeah, when he came in the game, he was just a true game wrecker, honestly. And he does it in a much different way than guys that you would usually expect to do that. But I mean, with the rebounding, and I cannot get over his ability to defend the perimeter as a 7'1" guy is incredible.
yeah, I mean that sequence against Jaylen Brown in Game 6 was like absurd, where like he backs him down, gets him off the rein, and then like literally gets him in the corner, just doesn't have to do anything, just throw his arms in the air, and he's so tall that Brown can't get around. Basically, a cheapy steal and an easy assist on the other end.
I know, and that's the thing is if we're going to be able, this team is a grind it out, grind the shot clock down. But if we can steal a couple fast break buckets, as you saw in all of the games that the Knicks won, they're a really tough team to beat.
Yeah, and speaking of those fast break ruckers, I think like obviously I want to touch on the whole sequence. Like the sequence I think that basically broke Game 6 open was like I think the moment when Deuce McBride blocks the shot on one end, and then it gets
Almost pinned it.
yeah, and then he goes right to Josh Hart the other way for a layup. Like that point, you're like, okay, this is cooked. Celtics not coming back from this.
That was like one of these. Let's run away with this thing. Started chanting, "Start the buses." It was a wrap after that. But yeah, I completely agree with you. It was like this guy's getting chased down blocks now. It's over.
Yeah, it got so bad Game 6. I mean, look at you have the Celtics emptying the bench in the middle of the third quarter because they knew like we're not coming back today. We can't like
I
risk.
mean, even our boy Tibbs, the starters didn't play the whole game. It was unbelievable. He let him get an ovation.
He you got PJ Tucker on the floor. It was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was. I've never in my life, listen, I think Windhorst said you got to be at least 30 to complain about the Knicks on his most recent podcast. I am 30 on the nose, so I'll pretend like I was, I could remember the 2000 finals and whatnot. This is the most fun I've had as a basketball fan in my life, period. This year has been amazing.
Yeah, I'm a little old. I don't remember 94. I remember the 99, 2000 runs. I remember the
That was a lockout year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
it was that was they were real underseeded because they got to a slow start. Yeah, they were made the finals an 8 seed, and then they lost to the Duncan Spurs, the first Duncan
Yep.
Spurs, and then 2000 they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, lost to the Pacers. So like obviously like, a long time coming for this team to get back to the situation here. And one more shout out to Mikal Bridges here too. I mean like he didn't have the most proficient scoring throughout the series, but like the plays he made, the ends of game one and game two, like alone, like if they lead to a title run, that justifies all those first round picks they got for him.
No, this series, honestly, for me, I don't want to talk about that trade anymore, honestly, because this series for me made it all. And you're right, he's never gonna be the most efficient player. He's gonna take some shots that you don't like, but if he plays the way he does and every other aspect and makes timely shots, I don't care because he impacts the game in so many ways. And I mean, I am keying in on that dude as a guy that's going to be our secret sauce to stop Mr. Halliburton.
Yeah, for sure. And I gotta give credit to Thibodeau as well here because like the Knicks actually changed up their defense in that series here. Like they never switched as much as they did against the Celtics here. Like they
No, yeah.
came up with a whole new defensive structure here, and it worked out well. I mean, yes, there are points where Karl Anthony Towns was not like was dropping too much and that gave them open threes. But, like when they were locked in, like they were very tough to score on.
No, they were truly stifling. Like and the switchability and I got to give credit to Tibbs for making adjustments too. I mean, this looked like a true Tibbs in this series, a true Tibbs defensive team, where this is the team that you expect. And this year, it was a little bit different of a Tibbs team where it's like this team's more offensively skilled and they're going to win with their offense. But if they can bring that kind of defense out combined with how they play on the offensive side of the ball, I don't know, my friend. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a wild round too because obviously like the Knicks upset the Celtics and the Tatum thing is a whole discussion for the offseason about what happens to the Celtics after this. The Cavs go down too, and now the Knicks have home court advantage to the Eastern Conference Finals. Never would have thought we'd get out in that sense this year.
Dude, this is wild. I mean, we are going to get a new era of champions here. I mean, there's between the final four teams, there's two championships, both belong to the Knicks, and I think my mom was in grade school when those happened. So, just to give everybody a little perspective of the last time any of these teams won. So, yeah, we're going to be crowning a new champ soon.
Yeah, I saw that stat online. It's like the last time these teams won is like obviously the Pacers never won the NBA. They won ABA titles. The
Yeah.
Yeah, the Thunder, like they don't claim that Sonics title in '79. So like,
Only the Lakers claim titles from other cities. They're the only ones allowed to do that.
yeah, so the Thunder have nothing. The Timberwolves obviously have nothing here. The Knicks won in '73. That's the last time any of these teams won a title.
Yep, early 70s, 70 and 73, the only two titles here. It's incredible to think that a team can be that incompetent for that long, but then I will point you to the New York Jets.
Yeah, we're not having that conversation today.
I know, I'm sorry. I didn't want to take that jab, but as you know, I'm a Jets fan too. So, but let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it. This is a time to really truly rejoice.
It is here. And now they got the Pacers coming here. Pacers, a 2-day rest advantage. They close out the Cavs in five. The Knicks close it out in six. So game one on Wednesday night here. Like, what are you watching with this series here? Because obviously it's been a minute since these teams played.
It has. I believe the Knicks were 2-1 against this team in the regular season, but I honestly, after what happened with the Celtics and what we're seeing throughout this playoffs, I throw regular season records out the window. Honestly, these series between the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, very similar. You got two teams in OKC and Indiana that just want to force turnovers and more in OKC sense, but both teams just want gas pedal for all 48 minutes. They just want to get out and run. Whereas the Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves, they really want to grind you out. They want to play in a half court offense. And it's basically going to be who's able to play their games and force their style on the other team. Because in both series, if this turns into a track meet, especially the Knicks, I don't want to see that because that's what the Pacers do best.
Yeah, I did look at the Knicks Pacers meeting this season. October 25th, Knicks win by 25. You had a November 10th game in Indiana where the Pacers won by 11. Then they met on February 11th. That's the last meeting of the season. That was basically the Knicks won that game, I think by I want to say yeah, they won by 13 points in Indiana. So these get you can it's so long. You can throw it out the window, basically, the regular season meetings.
For sure. Both of these teams are totally different teams at this point.
Yeah, for sure. So like what are your keys here you're watching in this series?
Well, I already named one of them, and that's Mikal Bridges guarding Tyrese Halliburton. And is he able to stay out of foul trouble and also just not letting guys like, for example, in the Celtics games, like we cannot let a Nemhard or any of these other guards for Indiana go off like a Derek White, where it's like I'm seeing these dribble handoffs and Derek White's pulling up for a wide open three. He gets hot, and the next thing you know, he's got 20 points in the first half because he's just banging wide open threes. So we got to get up on the shooters a little bit more. And then outside of that, we have to force turnovers and cat. Jesus Christ Almighty! I think back to a couple years ago in the press conferences with Anthony Edwards. Maybe Anthony Edwards needs to give him a fucking call. Stop doing stupid shit. Stop fouling when you're supposed to be running your ass into the post on defense and you're fouling a guy at the top of the 3-point line. And thank God for Mitchell Robinson that he stepped up because there was multiple times in that series where Cat had to come out about 5 to 6 minutes earlier than he would have in his normal substitution schedule because he got two quick fouls. So I think Carl Anthony Brunson's going to do what Brunson does. I think OG's proven he's going to do what he does. It's going to be Mikal Bridges and it's going to be Carl Anthony Towns and their consistency.
Yeah, I'll also add in here. These teams met in the playoffs last year, obviously. No OG because of the
Injury riddled.
yeah, and no Mitchell Robinson is going to be very important in this series too, because like the Pacers, for as wing deep as they are, they're not very big, and Mitchell Robinson's going to have a huge impact in this series. That means you're going to get Obi Toppin on the floor more at the expense of one of those wings, try and counter him down low.
No, absolutely. And OB is a guy, but Mitchell Robinson can counteract that because OB is a shooter, but Mitchell's a different type of guy. Like he can defend perimeters. He's an excellent switch defender, great pick and roll guy, and he can get steals as well. He's not just a big put two hands up and guard the paint kind of guy.
Yeah, sort of my point. I think if Mitchell Robinson is what Mitchell Robinson is, you're altering the lines Indiana's throwing out there in terms of like what they want to do versus what they have to do.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too with this series too, because obviously like Halliburton is going to be like a big like factor here with this series in terms of like the games he had. But like remember last year in the playoffs, he was not like that big a factor. Remember he was battling injury also here, and like he was quiet for the most part in that series. Apart from like
He was. It was much more of like your Nemhards and a few other guys that became stars in the playoffs last year for Indiana. Um, but I will say after that Cleveland series, I think the Knicks are better equipped defensively to guard a Halliburton, especially with, you have a Darius Garland going out and Donovan Mitchell, I feel like fades in and out defensively, where I think the Knicks, obviously, you're going to put Brunson on the weakest guy on offense, so you're just going to try and hide him. But I think with the switchability, if Tibbs continues to switch like that, the Knicks have a lot of long bodies. Your Josh Harts, your OGs, and especially your Mikal Bridges that are going to be able to stifle him because he's another guy where you have to pick him up like and be ready to guard the second he hits half court because this team wants to run. And we do not want to let them get easy buckets early in the shot clock.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the Halliburton thing, I think if it would be an upset, like if there's not the gameplay is not to have at least one of like OG Anunoby, out like Mikal Bridges or Deuce McBride guarding him throughout the game. If somebody else gets on it, it's because of switches, not because of design.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to really avoid that. And they're going to have to switch high. They're going to have to stay up in him because you saw even on that buzzer beater against Cleveland, he's got a herky, weird jump shot, but he can get it off quickly and it's an effective shot.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think as I'd say to see like here, like obviously the Knicks out talented the Pistons. They had less talent than the Celtics here. Like this feels like maybe the Knicks are a little more top heavy, but the Pacers are deeper because they go deeper in their bench than the Knicks will.
Definitely, but as every expert likes to say, you play eight and you trust seven. And right now, I love the Knicks seven, eight, but I love the Knicks seven right now.
Yeah, I mean eight's campaign. Like and you maybe you get like one like moment out of him.
If we can get a campaign, I wouldn't. I'm not asking for a campaign game. I think that's too much. But if we can get a campaign 4 minutes, like that would be something. But honestly, I think this series really comes down to the consistency of Cat. Truly.
Yeah, I think the campaign you want like the moment like he had in game one against the Pistons, like the one moment where he's like sort of like it keeps you afloat for a couple of minutes, like and you're
Yeah, when things are going wrong, maybe he figures out a way to be a veteran and settle it down, bang a three or two, and get a steal.
yeah, that's sort of the idea here with this series, and I think obviously like given these teams here, and like I think first of all like it's crazy this is the last series on TNT ever, according unless they get a new contract like a dozen years, and like Nick fans sit there with
I
like
thought that was a wrap. I thought they were going over to ESPN and all that whatnot.
no TNT has this series, so the Knicks get
Well,
right.
I know that, but I'm saying like it's done.
Yeah, that's it for TNT on NBA games, unless they get back in the next contract.
Yeah, I mean it's sad.
We're
We're
gonna be
gonna
stuck,
see
stuck with Reggie Miller for this whole series.
that Spike Lee put him across the on the other side of the court and don't and put a really tall guy in front of him so they can't even make eye contact. I don't want to live that again. Not that I barely lived it at the time, but I don't want to see those videos coming up or anything like that. But it's gonna suck to see the TNT guys go because you know how it goes with ESPN where I hate to say it, but they kind of clip a lot of guys' balls, and I just don't know if that show's gonna be as fun.
Yeah, it remains to see how independent the production is once they actually are simulcasting on ESPN.
Exactly, because it's like they say, "Oh, we're still filming out of Atlanta," and they're saying, "Oh, we're over here," but I don't believe that. Like that's a Disney company. Come on.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Although I mean, like if you are a fan of like certain properties, like there's amount of violence they let on some things, like maybe they are loose in certain ways.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You're a big Star Wars guy, so
The stuff they let happen on Andor, like alone, is saying, look, maybe it's an like a Disney company that lets people be people do what they do.
listen, take the HBO mindset of it. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Here, anything else you want to add this year before we go look at the other one?
I just do we have to make predictions or are we not? Are you not going to make me do it this time?
Do it at the end.
All right. You're gonna make me do it. It's coming. But no, let's listen. Let's talk. Uh, let's before we talk about OKC, Minnesota. I just want to give a shout out to Denver because I thought at most they were gonna take two games. Joker is the MVP of this league. As much as I think SGA deserves the trophy this year, he's the greatest player on planet Earth. He is the sun that the rest of the players orbit around. He just has complete control. Aaron Gordon, just such a tough year for him, and he was a superstar in this playoffs. And for him to, they were saying like that injury is not one of those ones where it's like, oh, it's just gonna hurt, but you're not gonna hurt it more. It's just gonna be painful. Truly, they said like you could rip this hamstring off the bone, and he gutted it out. And he wasn't very effective, but shout out to him for being in there. Murray came back in a strong way in this series. MPJ was just trash, and that really was the bottom line.
Yeah, and give credit a lot of credit to Aaron Gordon for that effort to even play in game seven. We saw OG. I know we tried this last year against the Pacers and was completely useless in that game.
Yep.
That Gordon actually made through 25 minutes is hella impressive, but there was a point in that game where like the announcer said over and over again, it was a 1 point game in the second quarter, and then OKC said enough and just flipped the switch and just like went to like 3 gears higher than the Nuggets could.
Well, yeah, and in game six, the Nuggets pretty much grabbed back the momentum at the end of the half,
Yeah.
and OKC was like, "That's not happening this time. Like, we're gonna blow you out of the gym," and that's exactly what happened. And that I think was probably their most, given the team and the circumstances, probably their most complete game. I know they've had a lot of blowouts, but that was like their most complete game of the playoffs thus far. What they do when they create turnovers, they are completely unbeatable when they are able to create offense with defense.
Yeah, for sure. I think this matchup with the Wolves is interesting here because obviously, like Minnesota has the big rest advantage because they closed out in five, so they have like an extra couple of days to heal up, and the Thunder coming back here like on the 2 day turnaround for game one. So I think if you're watching this series, I think if you are in Minnesota, you need to get at least a split in OKC considering you have the rest advantage there because it goes away very fast.
I agree with you completely, although I will say I don't think the rest is as important to an extremely young OKC team as it would be to a much more veteran heavy team. Um, but I think the keys to winning for Minnesota is basically Randall needs to continue to be a distributor as well as a scorer because he's been incredible in the playoffs, and we may get a Knicks Minnesota trade finals. Can you believe that? It's like I guess both teams won the trade if you're both making it to the finals.
Yeah.
Um, but if he can continue to do that, and then also Ant Edwards and Julius Randle are sloppy with the basketball at times, and this is the maybe the worst team ever, but I know for a fact it's the worst team right now to be sloppy with because if you turn the ball over, you see what happens when OKC is able to get out and run. Then guys like a Jalen Williams and pretty much everybody on that team are able to get out and run, get comfortable, and then before you know it, it's a 30-point game.
Yeah, I think the thing I'm watching with this series, especially, is like we know how dynamic the team OKC is and like how locked in they are defensively. I think the key to the series, like who Minnesota decides to throw at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and like how they try and slow him down. Because I think if it's me, I'd still rather say all you guys have to do something as opposed to SGA beat me.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, you gotta do the best you can to eliminate. SGA is not gonna get eliminated. But you gotta make him work. You gotta make him work, kind of like they were trying to do with the Joker, where it's like, yeah, you're gonna be the best player on the planet, but you're gonna have to really fucking work for it. Um, and then on the other side, it's like they have so many bodies to throw at Ant Edwards. Like you're not gonna bully. That's one thing. Like you're not gonna bully Lou Dort. You're
No.
not going to bully some of these guys, Case and Wallace. Like they have so many athletes.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Like they have so many athletes and they have the bigs to be able to compete with them as well with Hartenstein. And then the way Caruso is like a big now too. He plays bigs. He put both in both series. He was putting the bigs in a blender. Like it was unbelievable on defense. So this team is so versatile, man.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal team to watch here. And it's like the scary thing is here, it's like you wonder with OKC, like now like they like last year, like they had that moment in the second round where they sort of like fell flat in their face against Denver and just got bullied out. And now they've sort of like knocked off the boogeyman and beat Jokic. Like you wonder.
At game seven, especially for SGA, when he had 35 points, but he was incredibly efficient. It wasn't like I got to take over from the second the tip came off. I think that made a huge impact on them, and I think it's going to carry over.
I think the thing you're watching if you're OKC is you want to try and play Gobert off the floor as best you can because I feel like if you can like make it to the point where like you're just like throttling the other guys. They have to go more offensive on the other on that end to compete with you win.
100%. And I think as for Minnesota, you are you are taking care of the basketball and you are just squeezing the clock out. Because
Yeah.
again, if this turns into a track meet, I understand that Anthony Edwards is the most probably. I'm not a big track and field guy nor a soccer guy, but in my opinion, the most athletic human being on the planet right now is Anthony Edwards. And I know he's got the juice, but the rest of the team is not OKC, man. And you guys cannot get into a track meet with him. You have to choke the clock out.
Yeah, they certainly do here. So predictions here. Who are we going with in these two series?
Oh man, listen, I'm gonna ride with OKC in Minnesota against Minnesota, and I'm gonna take them in seven. I think I just love Ant Edwards so much, and I think that they're going to be able to muck up a few of these games. And like I said, I think they're going to be able to slow it down, and that's really the Achilles heel of the Oklahoma City team is that when it gets into a half court game and it gets into a run the shot clock kind of game where when you're running a lot of plays in the half court offense, it's pretty much SGA and these other guys kind of look to him and whatever. And if you can stop them from getting out to run, I think that they can win 3 games here. But ultimately, I'm going to take OKC in seven in the first series. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with OKC. I think OKC in seven. I think is probably the play here. I think Minnesota's going to steal one of these first two games in OKC. I think they will take advantage of the rest deficit that the Thunder have. And I think like there will be games. I guarantee there's going to be at least like one blowout each direction in this series. Like one game, you're like, how the hell did they win by 25?
Yep, exactly. Where it's just like they're pulling the starters in the third and a half quarter. I completely agree with you. All right, you ready to talk Knicks?
Yeah. So what's the feeling here?
Knicks and six.
Yeah, that's easy to match
Knicks and
up for
six.
them. This playoffs six ball series.
Yeah. And I will take it. I just think if Karl Anthony Towns can buckle down and stay consistent and not be stupid. Cat, don't be stupid. We got to get Brunson on the line to yell at him, just to not be a fucking idiot at all during this series. I just think the Knicks top seven, that rotation, and Tibbs has got it so dialed in right now. Indiana's not going to be able to compete with that. I think that there's going to be one game where it truly turns into a track meet and the Knicks probably get blown out. Maybe they lose another close game just because Halliburton is a clutch player and there's a lot of great players on that team. But I'm taking the Knicks in six.
Yeah, I'm leaning Knicks in six as well. I feel like Halliburton's had that one blow up game where like he goes for like 35 and like
But there's also going to be a game where Halliburton has 12 and 4, I think.
I think the balance is here. I feel like the Knicks have more guys who are capable of just like taking over a game on a given night than the Pacers do. I think the Pacers' strength is like Halliburton will go for 30 and a bunch of our guys will go for like 13 each and we'll put up 120 points.
Exactly. And goddamn, I hope we're right, man. I just want to keep riding this wave. It's so much fun. I've never been happier to be wrong about something. And then people keep giving it to me on social media. I don't care.
Yeah.
The double birds.
Yeah, if you want to reach, you want to chat with him, just hit up at Sorry Sports. They'll definitely chat back with you.
Absolutely, man. No doubt about it. How you feeling about your Mets?
Yeah, it's all right. One weekend series. I don't get it's one 3 games and 160.
Exactly. Everybody, listen, New York, everybody needs to chill out. The Mets are going to be good. Soto's going to start hitting. It's fine.
Yeah, you look at Soto's like baseball, like baseball savant page. It's like all red to the extremes. The results just haven't come yet. I'm like, if he keeps doing that, like eventually those balls are gonna fall in.
Exactly, man. He's never gonna strike out a lot. He's never gonna swing at a bad pitch, and he's gonna start putting the ball in holes where people aren't.
Yep, that's for sure here. And before we go, I do want to get your take on the draft lottery
Oh,
results.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Listen,
Because I mean, we almost had the conspiracy theory right last week. We said the Spurs would be the crazy theory, and they came second here. But I mean,
yeah.
for like you and I know deep in our hearts that this is not a fixed lottery, but the NBA ain't beating the allegations with those results last week.
I'm having a really hard time just defending the integrity with things like this that happen, man.
Yep.
It's wild. Like, what was the percentage it was under 1%, right?
Like 1.5%.
That's just crazy. And you know what? From now on, we need to file this away as a gambling moment. The next time something smells fishy, we're going to put a lot of money down on it, and you and I are going to retire.
I know. I think Bill Simmons made the joke. I think back in February after the Luka trade, he's like, bet the house on the Dallas Mavericks win the lottery because the
Yes.
NBA will make
Yeah.
it to them.
And we made a prediction with the Spurs because it was like obviously it would have been funny if we predicted Dallas, but we also wanted to have a little integrity. It's like that would just be so unbelievable. The NBA would never do that. Yet here we go.
Yeah, I mean, look at that lottery results. I mean, like you had three god awful teams who can't get the picks they need to like get better, and then you
I
have
think they're proving a point. Like stop tanking.
yeah. Even so, though, I mean, you got like Dallas getting rewarded for making one of the dumbest trades in NBA history, Cooper Flag. You have the Spurs who already got Victor Wembanyama 2 years ago. Now are going to get one of the Rutgers kids to go with him
And they got Steph Castle, the reigning rookie of the year.
and the Aaron Fox. So like, you might be setting up like Thunder Spurs like super teams out the West, and then you have the Sixers who pivoted to a tank mid-season and get rewarded with the third pick.
I know, and that's the one that was like really the thorn in my side. The Sixers deserve to lose that pick like so badly just for the mismanagement.
Yeah, and they're either going to be able to get a good like young player with it or trade it for somebody who could help them right now.
Exactly, and we'll have to see. I mean, I don't know. Nobody knows with Embiid. It's we're getting into Kawhi territory with what the hell is going on there, and he may never play basketball again.
Yeah, I just feel for like the teams that like are generally bad. Like I know that like Utah and Washington and Charlotte tank, but like in this NBA, where you have like this new CBA where nobody of that actually hits free agency anymore, where you have to get traded somewhere. Like, how are these teams supposed to get any better if they can't get good players in the draft?
Exactly, and it's like, well, first of all, you're not attractive in the first place because you're not a top tier franchise, and now you like you said, you can't even get the talent pool that's what the draft is designed to do to create competitive balance in the league. I mean, the NFL has it way more figured out than the NBA.
Well, the NFL like doesn't do a lottery. The NFL says
Well, the NFL, I mean, there's no tanking in the NFL either.
no, you can't because you try like doing that, you'll injure yourself.
Well, or you could be Miami with Flores, where
Yeah.
they tried to get him to tank.
Yeah, it's just like football. There's too much pride in that room. There's too many guys for like it to a tank to be successful because like you by accident you tend to win like three games.
Well, people are also like they say all the time in the NFL, every game's an audition.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I don't know. There's so many things running through. I'm sure everybody's head and how to fix the NBA lottery and how to fix the draft, but I don't know. Going to this 14% thing, each losing team, the bottom three teams each get a 14% chance. I don't know. I think we got to go back to the drawing board.
I think we need to do something because like again like when is the path for some of these really god awful teams to actually get better?
I think we need to put a rule in place where it's like if you're not allowed to get more than two first overall picks in a decade.
Yeah, because I mean the NBA doesn't beat the allegations at all with some of these like results they get. Whether it's this one with the Cooper Flag trade being paid back for Luca,
The Cavs with
twice
10 trillion draft number one overall picks.
Cavs getting the pick twice in like 3 years after LeBron leaves. The Pelicans getting it after Davis basically wanting his way out the building. So like it's set up it's like it. And technically that like it's not actually rigged, but like the results they're putting out there make you feel like it's scripted.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I mean, I like to believe it's not rigged just because I feel like so much shit in this world today is rigged that I just want something. I just want sport. I just want to believe that sports aren't rigged. But then again, it's like, I don't know. We don't see the ping pong balls. They just come out there and say it,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
I wonder if you should do something where like the NHL does, where it's like where there's like a cap on how high you can jump. Whereas like if you're like 14th, you can't go more than like 7 spots up.
Mm. I mean, I'm all ears for anything, dude, because like,
Because
I don't know.
this doesn't help the NBA having Cooper Flag go to Dallas.
No, not at all. And I'll give the NBA credit. Like they try and be innovative with certain things, with all the tournaments they did and the subtly changing of the defensive rules midway through last season because the flopping was getting way too intense but I mean there's a lot of things we got to go back to the drawing board on here.
I mean, I give Silver credit for the second apron new CBA has done exactly what they wanted to do, where like You're not getting the same teams winning again and again and again and again. This year's Final Four is proof of it. But we need to figure out how we can get these teams on the bottom a chance to get better because what they're doing is not working.
No, it is not. And listen, maybe we'll brainstorm. We'll call Adam up.
Yeah, we'll give them a call, Tom. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People want to hear with you guys over on your pod. How can we do that?
Twitter, we're at Sorry Sports. Instagram and TikTok, we are Sorry_Sports. The Sorry to Interrupt podcast across, I think, all platforms. And then you can tweet at me if you have anything mean to say. I don't care. I'll take all the bullets. I'll be a human shield for you if I need to. It's at tbocino94.
All right, so make sure you check all that stuff out, Tom. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, we're having this conversation again in about 2 weeks.
Oh my God. I don't know if I could get any higher than I am right now, but I hope so, bro. Me and you doing this pod together might be good luck.
Yeah, we didn't do the first round. Remember that. So if it's,
If this continues, though, if the Knicks win the championship, we might have to come on before every Jets game too and do a little something.
I don't think we get that lucky.
No, no, that's too much.